What's up, my guys, and welcome back. I'm your host, Cody, and this is that there wrestling report card. And if you heard that intro, that means one thing. Yes, unfortunately, you stumbled on yet another terrible YouTube channel, but that sounds more like a you problem, not a me problem. So let's get on into it. For those of y'all that do know how this show works out, we're going to do things a little bit different today, as I have organized my second ever, Cody's very own, top 10 list. Now on this one, we're going to get into a little bit of tea, because, you know, everybody likes drama. I don't know why I just snorted there, but hey, let's just act like that didn't happen. Yes, we all know, anybody that's been in any sports knows that there's always those locker room teammates that are just cancerous. And so yes, for those of y'all that know, you know that I'm going to be talking about CM Punk. And in this list, it's going to be the top 10 return matches for CM Punk that would break the internet. I tell you what, I did this thing for two reasons. Number one, it's for clickbait. I'm trying to get some views. Don't judge me, but hey, we all do it. And for number two, we all love tea. Even if you aren't a wrestling fan, you're going to be into this because it's just all about some grown men having drama with each other, whether it's real or if it's, you know, wrestling real. So, without further ado, somebody going to call Trey Songz because we about to dive in to the top 10 return matches for CM Punk in 2023 that would break the internet. And as y'all know, you can't have a top 10 list without having number 10, just like you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, brother. So coming in at the number 10 spot is the man who had the millions and millions. That's right, I'm talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I mean, who with a straight face can honestly sit there and tell me that this would not have them glued to the TV? These are arguably two of the greatest mic workers of all time. Like, who can forget their legendary feud back in 2013 when we were building up to the Royal Rumble? Now, it has come to light recently that CM Punk has had a few things to say about working with The Rock back then. Shocker. Now, during an interview with StarCast, Punk went on to say, "This was a crash course of me and Rock getting in front of each other for the first time. It wasn't negative, so to speak, but it was very much like, no, this isn't how I do things," and him being like, "Oh, okay, well, cool, this is how I do things." Further on, he went to say, "I was like, no offense, I don't know who these guys are, and they're writing material for me when I think this is the way we should go." CM Punk did come out and apologize for the way he handled this, to which Rocky replied, "No, F it, water under the bridge." With that being said though, you also remember back in 2011 during CM Punk's feud with Cena, and we'll get more on that later, Punk said that Cena was only better than him at kissing Vince's McMahon ass. I don't know if you're as good as Dwayne though, he's a pretty good ass kisser. This isn't sour grapes, but the fact that Dwayne is in the main event at WrestleMania and I'm not makes me sick. We then move to 2017 where we have an episode of Monday Night Raw that just went off the air when, what do you know, The Rock's music hit and by God down he came to the ring. He was asking the crowd to do some cheers for the upcoming Paige match. Congrats on your return, by the way, girl. Now, her opponent at this time happened to be none other than CM Punk's wife, AJ Lee. Now, The Rock even admitted that he was told backstage that if he even mentioned AJ Lee, this crowd would start going crazy for CM Punk. So, of course, once The Rock did mention the match, the crowd just kept breaking out in CM Punk chants all over. So what did The Rock do? He pulled out his phone and by God, that sumbitch called CM Punk and left him a voicemail of that LA crowd just going nuts for him. So, water under the bridge or not, if these two were to do one last program together, you already know that nothing would be off limits, as these two would absolutely cook each other on the mic. I mean, not many people can hold their own with The Rock when it comes to mic work, but CM Punk would be one of those names on that short list. Shout out Hurricane Helms. Wow, all that just for number 10? Well, let's move on to number 9. Coming in at number 9, along with CM Punk, we had another wrestler sign a polarizing contract within the last year. That's right, just 7 months after CM Punk made his in-ring return at Full Gear back in 2021, Cody Rhodes shocked the entire world when he arrived at WrestleMania 38 as Seth Rollins' surprise opponent. And thankfully, I was actually fortunate enough to attend both of those pay-per-views. I tell you what. So yeah, you got Cody Rhodes, you got CM Punk in the same company, and I mean, this feud seemed inevitable. I think all of us fans, including myself, were looking forward to this, but then Cody just jumped ship, and a ton of speculation was swirling around all that. Like, was CM Punk the reason that Cody Rhodes left AEW? I mean, was it? Cody has came out and publicly denied this, but the timing of all this is suspicious, to say the least. And after all the drama surrounding CM Punk and the Elite after this year's All All Out pay-per-view, who's to say that CM Punk won't shock the world yet again and show up in a WWE arena in the near future? Whether his contract gets bought out or not, CM is only under a 3-year deal. So it's not like we're going to be waiting like another 5 to 7 years to see CM Punk jump ship or do what he wants to do. So maybe this thing isn't off yet. And speaking of WWE, Cody and Punk have had a few matches together dating back to late 2008, but they never had a main event type of feud, even though it was rumored to be in the works back in 2012 when CM Punk held the strap. One thing I did come across is that in an interview with Inside the Ropes back in 2016, Cody did take a couple of jabs over there at CM Punk. So even though it's been a minute since these two have crossed paths, these are two of the most polarizing figures in professional wrestling today, and there's no doubt that they would put on one for the ages. That's right. Speaking of bangers, we gotta move to number 8, where this would definitely be a banger. That's right. I'm talking about CM Punk versus the Visionary, the Revolutionary, Seth freaking Rollins. Now here's one that might have a little more real life heat with it, and I'm pretty sure it all started back in 2019 when CM Punk appeared on WWE Backstage, and the topic was Seth Rollins' recent heel turn with AOP as his henchman. And Punk's first response was, "I don't want to see a regurgitated Shield." He then went on to say he's not good at being a good guy, so do what you're good at and be the bad guy. And the ironic thing is, now everyone's gonna cheer him. And okay, 3 years after the fact, we gotta admit that CM Punk nailed that sumbitch on the head. But after that, Seth Rollins then went on to Twitter where he was calling out CM Punk, talking about fight me, to which Punk responded by going back on air and said, "Hey, this isn't the show where you come on and shoot your little angles. Seth needs to stop tweeting and realize that sometimes it's better to be viewed as the fool and shut your mouth." And he even doubled down off the whole stay off Twitter bit, which obviously bothered the Visionary, because Seth then followed that up and appeared on the Sports Illustrated Media podcast where he went off on that sumbitch. He started off by saying, "Here's someone who's been in the doldrums for the past few years because he got his butt kicked in the octagon so bad he didn't want to show his face anywhere. Now he shows back up on a WWE show. You could say it's an FS1 show all you want, and you may be paid by Fox, but that show doesn't exist without our company, the company you left 5 years ago." Seth then followed that up by saying, "But at the end of the day, if he wants to come on a show and run his mouth about me and about a company that he has had no part of for the past 5 years, then of course I'm gonna stand up for it. Of course I'm gonna have its back. I'm not gonna sit here and let you push it around and push me around and act like you're so cool. You could've, bust a cherry in a fruit fight, dude. Yeah, tell his ass, Seth." However, even with saying all this, Seth does know that these two can make money off of this, which he did admit in that same interview. But is that still the case, or is there too much bad blood between the two? The only other time I do know that Seth Rollins did mention CM Punk was back on the Pat McAfee show last February, but he didn't really say anything bad. But what do I know? I'm just a dumb son of a bitch. Speaking of guests on the Pat McAfee show, this next opponent for CM Punk at number 7 was a huge guest on that show. I mean, he's just a huge guy. Some call him the alpha male of our species. That's right, I'm talking about CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna entertain any other bullshit otherwise. Give me Brock Lesnar, give me CM Punk in a Paul Heyman on a pole match, or don't give me this at all. I don't care, argue with your uncle and them. But seriously though, you can't even mention a Paul Heyman guy without these two names coming up. Hell, just having Paul Heyman in the middle of anything is only gonna make it that much better. Now, when it comes to Punk and Lesnar, first off, who can forget their iconic no DQ match that they had at SummerSlam back in 2013? And I'm pretty sure that sumbitch won a Slammy too, and hey, they just don't hand that shit out, okay? And there's no one that can deny the chemistry that these two had in the ring. Brock's strength versus Punk's cunningness, F5 versus GTS, I mean, what's not to love? Hell, CM Punk even bit Brock's ear. We gotta have a sequel, my guy. Not only do we know that the in-ring action is gonna be legit, but you add in that storyline plus the promos that these two can give us, oh man, it's gonna be off the chain. Especially now that we got Cowboy Brock. Hell yeah, brother. Now, obviously, Paul Heyman will be a main focal point of this, as he has cost both of these guys titles back in the day. Plus, we all know CM Punk gets a lot of shit for his UFC career, but hearing him get ragged on by Brock Lesnar for his UFC days would definitely be a shot to old Phil's ego. Now, off the mat, these two seem to respect the hell out of each other. Punk had nothing but kind words to say about the Beast, and even stated that Brock reached out and offered to help him when he started out in the UFC world. I mean, what a guy. So no, there won't be any of that juicy real life angle that he has with a couple of these other guys. Don't worry, we'll get to more of those. But in kayfabe, these two possibly have one of the greatest stories to tell, and I'm here for it, my guy. And yes, I know that Paul Heyman is currently the wise man for our tribal chief, Roman Reigns, but honestly, that makes this even better. Hell, let's throw him in the mix, maybe get a nice little triple threat out of it. We'll get to more on that later, but for now, let's move on, where in comes a guy who is known as being one of the easiest people to get along with in the wrestling world. Unless your name is Phil Brooks, apparently. Yeah, at number 6, I'm talking about CM Punk versus AJ Styles. Now, with these two men's history dating all the way back to the early days of Ring of Honor, surprisingly, there's not a whole lot of dirt on this, but there is definitely some issues between these two superstars, I tell you what. And I'm not 100% sure when this whole rivalry began, but I do know that back in 2020, business started picking up, which I'm sure most of y'all remember was peak COVID times. So some fans were upset that AJ Styles was posting about his Twitch account, but staying quiet about other more important issues. And one of these people brought this to CM Punk's attention, to which CM Punk chimed in saying Styles' beliefs has been obvious for years. Now, after a few weeks, Styles responded to these comments in his interview with the Times of India, stating, "I will not react at all coming from a guy that I don't respect anyway. I'm not going to react to people saying ridiculous and stupid things." To follow that up, during one of Styles' Twitch streams that Punk oh so loves, some Mark thought it was a good idea to ask him about a match with Punk, to which Styles replied, "Nope, that will never happen. I don't have to go into detail about this one. I think it's pretty obvious where things stand. I'm not a fan." So yeah, as good as their match was on the Ring of Honor 2nd anniversary show, I think it's safe to say that these two aren't looking forward to sharing a ring anytime soon, no matter where CM Punk ends up. Man, is it heating up in here or what? And can you believe we're just now about to crack the top 5? And let me let you in on a little secret. This sumbitch right here might be the spiciest one of them all. I tell you what, this former AEW World Champion and CM Punk do not like each other. That's right, coming in at number 5, I'm talking CM Punk versus Hangman Adam Page. Now, this one kind of came out of nowhere last year during their build-up for their match at Double or Nothing for Hangman's AEW title. In his promo leading up to the match, apparently, Adam said a few things that offended CM Punk. He started off in that promo saying Punk is different than what he perceives to be on screen, and then even went as far as to claiming that Punk doesn't care about his co-workers. Obviously, all of us wrestling nerds knew that that was a shot at CM Punk allegedly being involved with getting his old pal Colt Cabana fired from AEW. Hi, Colt Cabana. I mean, his on-screen role diminished shortly after CM Punk arrived, so I'll let you make the call on what happened there. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. So yeah, Paige upset Punk with all this, but before it could get resolved, Punk unfortunately injured his foot after taking some time off to heal. Upon his return, Punk was set to cut a promo ahead of his match with Jon Moxley, but before addressing that, he just started to shoot on Hangman Page on live TV. Knowing that Hangman wasn't going to be able to come out, Punk called him out to an impromptu match and even went as far as to calling him a coward when Paige didn't show. I mean, none of this was supposed to happen. Nobody knew about it, but Punk, I guess, wanted his receipt from Paige's remarks previously. I mean, who do y'all think crossed the line? Did Punk cross the line in this, or did Paige cross the line previously? I don't know. Y'all let me know down in the comments. Then we move on to the infamous AEW media scrum that followed All Out, and y'all know that's going to keep being the topic of conversation. But for now, I just want to focus on strictly what he said to Hangman Page, and I tell you what, my guy CM Punk was out for blood. Punk not only bashed Paige for going into business for himself that night in that original promo, but he went as far as to call him, my guy, an empty-headed dumb fuck on live TV. Yeah, I don't know any man that's gonna let that slide, Phil. So I don't know if these two need to settle that one in the ring, octagon, a parking lot. But when it does happen, somebody needs to record that son bitch, and somebody needs to be making money off that. Come on, y'all gotta get that one resolved. Okay, well, we gotta keep it pushing, and we gotta go to number 4. And I tell you what, this may have been CM Punk's best rivalry of all time, and you can hate me all you want, but coming in at number 4, I got CM Punk taking on John Cena. Oh, come on. As much as the real life issues between Punk and all these guys intrigue us, I mean, don't lie, they do. From 2010 to 2013, CM Punk and John Cena did not miss. I tell you what. And now with Triple H in charge of creative at WWE, plus with all the crap Punk pulled over in AEW, this storyline would just be golden, as the roles would kind of be switched around now. How the turntables have turned. I mean, let's let Triple H be the guest referee. Hell, we'll even have Colt Cabana as the timekeeper. Let's go, damn it. Not only did we get the infamous pipe bomb in the build-up to this, but who can forget that July 17th night in Chicago where these two met in the main event at Money in the Bank in a banger of a match. And to top it all off, CM Punk's contract was set to expire the next day, so needless to say, it was kind of a big deal. You also had Punk's flu match in 2013, where these two squared off to see who was going to main event WrestleMania with The Rock. However, back in 2011, after Punk got the win over Cena at SummerSlam, for some reason it seemed that Punk always played second fiddle behind John Cena in the WWE. And that's saying something, because during that time, Punk had a 434-day title reign. But I mean, you had Cena main event in back-to-back Manias with The Rock instead of Punk. Hell, at Over the Limit in 2012, CM Punk squared off against Daniel Bryan on that card. But did they main event? Nope. And guess who did? John Cena versus John Laurinaitis. Yeah, I would have walked out that son of a bitch right then and there. Now, even though there's never been a confirmed real-life issue between these two, you can't help but wonder how much of the pipe bomb was true. How much of it was how CM Punk really felt about his situation in the WWE. Maybe it was just one of those love to play it, hate the game situations when it came to Cena. Now, even though this rivalry is old news at this point, there have been some rumblings that these two might square off at WrestleMania. And all I'm going to say about that is the way that the year 2022 has been, especially in the world of professional wrestling, I'm not ruling anything out, my guy. We all know Punk's issues with Triple H may play a part in keeping this from happening, but in the words of the game himself, it's what's best for business. So we're going to switch gears over from that to what was possibly CM Punk's greatest rivalry in AEW now. That's right. And for this one, you need to hide your kids, hide your wife, hide the dogs, or well, at least the dog collars, because these two may have had one of the more iconic feuds that I've seen in the post-COVID era. That's right. Coming in at number 3, I'm talking about CM Punk versus MJF. This one also made me think a lot of the Punk Cena one from back in the day, but again, Punk is on the other side of the coin, as now he is the backstage politicking vet not willing to put anyone over. With this legit storyline, some scathing promos, and the brilliant matches, I mean, come on, my guy. Plus, now that MJF is the champ, this would just be golden. This feud had numerous epic moments, like MJF pretending to be a babyface just to swerve everyone 1 week later when he left PG Punk a bloody pulp handcuffed to the ropes. Or, who could forget that damn dog collar match? Sheesh. Now, we all know back in September, All Out had 2 unforgettable moments. Number 1, MJF coming back and winning the ladder match disguised as the devil. And number 2, the infamous media scrum from CM Punk and all the turmoil that followed, including the brawl with the Elite backstage, leaving AEW and all of us CM Punkless until this day. However, here recently, MJF won the award for Rivalry of the Year with guess who? That's right, CM Punk. But when he went to take the photo, MJF actually taped over CM Punk's name, replacing it with his own. So yeah, I guess the 2022 Rivalry of the Year was Max versus Max. Anyways, after months of silence, CM Punk sent a shot over at Max and AEW when he simply commented on that photo, maybe find some tapes for the ratings so nobody sees those either. I mean, damn. And let's be straightforward. We all love Jon Moxley, but we all know that MJF's passion would have been much more sweeter if he had done it on his longtime hero, CM Punk. I mean, who knows what the future holds? A small part of me still thinks this has all been one elaborate work. I mean, hey, hear me out. Punk was injured, and this is a great way to keep someone relevant throughout an injury, just saying. And look, I know I sound like a dum-dum, but if he does return, it's just gonna be money, money, yeah. Shout out Crime Time, man. Rest in peace, Shaq Gaspard. Also, rest in peace to Jay Briscoe, man. I literally just figured that out before I started this video. That really got me and the whole wrestling community shook up. Man, shout out to Mark Briscoe as well, man. I'll be praying for you and your family. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we finally reached the number 2 spot. And this guy usually ain't number 2. He's usually the 1. I mean, that's kind of his thing, but whatever. Coming in at number 2, we got CM Punk taking on Roman Reigns. And okay, let's be honest, we all want to know the answer. Who is the real needle mover? So anyone who knows me, who knows Cody, knows that Roman Reigns is my guy. Outside of Bray Wyatt, it's the tribal chief all day. But let's be honest, that's a tough question to answer. Even though Roman Reigns is carving his legacy as one of, if not the best WWE champion of all time, there's no denying that when CM Punk steps into that square circle, he just brings a buzz to that place that not many wrestlers can bring. And now look, I'm not condoning being a backstage problem, but let's be honest here for a minute. When CM Punk does have real life issues with people, it honestly makes wrestling feel real. And when's the last time you felt that? That's all I'm saying. It's still real to me, damn it. I'll touch more on that later, but for now, we gotta know who is the real needle mover in wrestling and how did all this come about. So for those who don't know, Roman Reigns broke onto the main roster with Seth Rollins and that crazy son of a bitch Jon Moxley as part of the Shield back in 2012. And guess who they just so happened to help that night at Survivor Series? That's right, the Honky Tonk Man. Damn it, who put that on the prompter? Oh. It's just me in here. I'm embarrassed. Anyways, yeah, that's right. Roman and the Shield came out to the aid of CM Punk that night. Then we moved to 2014, where Punk was speaking on the Art of Wrestling podcast and claimed to be the creator of the Shield. He then also took shot at part-time champions, quote unquote, and Roman had had enough at this point. During an interview with Ariel Helwani, Roman responded by saying, "These statements are coming from people who thought they were better than they were. CM Punk wasn't as good or as over as John Cena. He didn't move the needle like The Rock." Then, when asked about a possible match with CM Punk in an interview with Complex, Roman went on to say, "I wouldn't say no, but I mean on a personal level, it doesn't do anything for me. He's older now. A step or two has been lost." Then, he also got his ass whooped in the UFC. I don't think anybody really believes someone 200 pounds soaking wet with no explosive bone in their body could ever really do anything to me. I'm 6'3", 265, a legit athlete who can throw some weight around and has been on the gridiron at the highest level, D1, all ACC. When it comes down to it, I'll throw him and pretty much the rest of that roster out the club, no problem. They're just little brothers, you know? And to top all this needle moving dilemma off, Roman started wearing the needle mover merch to the ring immediately after saying it. That's why you my guy, you petty Anyways, so after saying all that, I realized I could have typed this into one sentence. CM Punk and Roman Reigns, they gotta catch these hands, and that's it. Well, we got done with number 2. That only leaves one thing left. We're going to number 1. And if you know it, you probably could have guessed it. That's right. At number 1, to cap off this list, we got CM Punk versus Kenny, by God, Omega. Okay, here's the thing. Just like Seth Rollins said about the whole CM Punk situation, he knows that there is money to be made here. And I tell you what, Kenny Omega versus CM Punk would break the bank, my guy. Not only do we have all the real life issues between these two, but we could also intertwine the storyline of who really is just the best in the world. Plus, this could also give us FTR versus Young Bucks 3. Hell, we could even add Bret Hart and Goldberg to each side and just really get down to it. I mean, come on. Did I just figure out the Elite's next challengers for the Trios Championships? Nah, but seriously though, the amount of views that these two would bring to AEW would be insane. So this one, like the one with Hangman Page, came from that infamous post-All Out Media scrum. Except Punk took numerous shots at the EVPs, which consist of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. And according to numerous reports, all 3 of them confronted Punk and an altercation broke out, leading to Ace Jaws of Steel actually biting Kenny Omega. Yes, you heard that right. And apparently, CM Punk has a dog named Larry, and during all this, Kenny Omega was trying to save him, and I can't help it. My first thought was of Joe from Impractical Jokers running around screaming, "Larry! Larry!" Hey, I tell you what, you really cannot take me anywhere. But man, yeah, if they really could get all this figured out and turn this into a storyline, like not only would the mic work and the promos be great, but you know that match would be fire. Well, it looks like we reached the end here, brother. I'm your host, Cody. I appreciate all 6 of you that are still tuned in. Again, this is only my 2nd time doing one of these videos, so let me know what y'all think in the comments. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Also, want to give a shout out to my guy, OG Bobby Knifehawk. Y'all give him a follow on SoundCloud. He comes through for every one of my videos. That's my guy right there. Well, hey, other than that, I appreciate all y'all. Everybody stay safe and have a nice day.